All right, in this video, I'm basically going to show you guys how I was able to achieve these shots. I see a lot of people showing their work, but I don't see a lot of people telling about how they were able to achieve those shots. So if you're a beginner with the Canon EOS M, or maybe an advanced person, this video may be something you want to check out. Future me, guys, I forgot to show you guys, talk about what lens I used. I was using the 7 Artisan 25mm lens with a black Pro Mist 1/4 on here with a K&F Concept variable ND filter, which was a ND8 to 2000. The Canon EOS is not new to me. I've been working with this camera for over the last 5 or 6 years. I've been using it to build my YouTube channel, my second YouTube channel, which is over 140K subscribers. And I built that with a cell phone and a Canon EOS M. So I'm very familiar with the Magic Lantern, but this new version, I'm not. But I went out and did some shooting, and I shot this little cinematic montage of me going to the city to get some shots. It was a nice cloudy day. So I want to break that down and show you guys how and the settings that I use as far as post after shooting it, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna jump in here inside of DaVinci Resolve. Go ahead and pause that there for a minute. Now let's go straight into my settings first. I did export everything as raw DNG files. If you can see here, let's jump in. Here they are. Everything is raw DNG files. They were raw DNGs at 30 FPS. The resolution was 1736 by 976. Okay, that was the resolution coming off of these, out of my DNGs here. The things I went into as far as color management, you go to color management. I'm using Color Space DaVinci YRGB, Timeline Color Space Rec 709, Output Color Space Rec 709. Then we go to camera raw. I was using Area Alexa. This was just all basically default, okay? Nothing really special there. But if we jump on one of the files here, and then let's say, let me get to actually one that I actually kind of liked. Let's jump into the color tab so we can see what I did to this. So what I basically did was, let me go ahead and Control D. This is what it looked like when it came in. The first node I added in a color space transform node. Okay, and with that color space transform node, you can see my input color space was P3D60, input gamma linear, output color space Rec 709, output gamma Cineon film log. Okay, so basically I brought that, those are my settings, and then hang on, this is also important. Toning map set to none, gamma mapping set to none, and then apply forward OOTF. None of these are checked. This bottom one is checked. That was the first thing that I brought in as far as nodes. And then if we go to my camera raw settings, I had changed my camera raw settings to decoding, use clip, white balance as shot, color space, P3D60. Okay, there's the P3D60 again, just like it matches on my color transform space, right? And then the gamma linear. Okay, so what that basically does, let me go ahead and put this in there. This basically, let me set this back to standard. Let me go to reset. This is what it looks like when it comes in. It looks good, right? It doesn't look that bad. What we do here is I go to color space again. I go to clip, set it as clip, Rec 709, P3D60, linear. From there, I go back and repeat the same settings up here again on this color transform turn that back on, that color transform sets me up again, put the same input, and the output, I want to output to Rec 709. And then I did Cineon Film Log. And the only reason I did that was because I wanted to use one of DaVinci Resolve's film LUTs here. They come shipped with DaVinci Resolve, the free versions. I go to Film Look, and I chose one of these here. I think I chose the 23, I ended up 2383 D60. That was the LUT that I actually put on here. And you can see, this is what Cineon, because these LUTs that ship with DaVinci work really well with the Cineon flat profile. And then I put that on here, bing, that's what it looks like. It's a little bit dark. Added another one in between to make my adjustments and whatever I was going to do. I resetted it, but here I came and do all my raw tweaking right here in this palette. I wanted to bring up the exposure a little bit. It is crushed a little bit, right? Okay, I can lift up my shadows a tad bit here, you know, make all my adjustments using here. If I want to see if I got any highlight recovery, we could, I mean, I kind of exposed it. That's my number one thing. I always expose it as close as possible to the final way that this is a shot I wanted to look the way I want it. So I don't have to do that much adjustment, just a little bit of tweaking here and there. This is basically how I would get this look using the stock film LUTs from DaVinci Resolve. So it's not really, I don't want to do a lot of post work. Like I used to do a lot of post work in the other days, and it just wasn't fun, right? Like it was time consuming, and I have a little laptop here and it's heavy. So this is basically all I did. Typically I try to, I always film a little bit saving the highlights. Like I like to lean towards the darker side. I don't like my highlights to be blown out. I rather my shadows be a little bit darker versus the highlights being blown out. So you can see a lot of my shots are very low on the color wave. Like look at that, I'm real low here. I even crushed the blacks a little bit, which I tend to not do, but now I'm really pushing my looks. Like, you know, I got more range now with this here. And then it still to me looks a little bit bright or decontrasted when I get to YouTube. And I was also using a Pro Mist 1/4 filter on there. So those are my settings that I use for this particular video here. And then I will just go in here and let me jump into my timeline so you guys can see what my timeline looks like. Now you can see here, this is my video timeline, the blue, right? Not a lot, there's just the video clips. But look at all the work that I put in on sound design. Like this is where I try to spend more time at, because I notice like just watching a lot of videos that people put out, they don't really spend a lot of time on sound design. So what I'm trying to do to separate myself from everybody else, spend more time on sound design. So you can see like matter of fact, if I was just to kind of mute the music here, let me go ahead and mute the music. Especially here at the end, like trying to build up this little bit of a epic kind of finish here. Whew. It's a lot. Trying to spend more time on sound design than I do the actual, I guess, video edit. Just trying to separate myself from, I guess, you know, like from everybody else. I'm happy the way it came out. You know, it was my first kind of Canon EOS edit in a while, because I typically didn't like to use Magic Lantern because it was like literally the screen was just too glitchy for me. And I like to use gimbals sometimes, and it was like really hard to kind of tell the modes. Actually, the modes didn't work that well. So I would just always shoot everything in 8-bit with my stock Canon, never really use the Magic Lantern. But when I saw this new update and I tried it with this, I was like, you know what? It was the first time in a long time that I actually was just thinking about shots and filming versus thinking about settings and, oh, the screen is glitching out, or is this video going to have a couple of pink frames in it, or what is it, red, or is it, you know, is it green? I wasn't thinking about that. I was just thinking about composition. Like, and that's what I like. That's why I always use just the standard 8-bit mode, because I can just hit record and know that the shot's there and it's going to be there when I go back home. I'm really happy with this. Now I'm going to start getting into some of the other modes. I know that slow motion is, I guess, everybody's talking about that. I might look into using that now, because I used to never touch that slow motion version. It was just too glitchy. Patrick LeVar, take a look at this video, guys. Here, this is another one that I shot with the Canon EOS M, but it was an 8-bit. But it actually looks really good. I got some really good exposure and some good exposed shots. So take a look at that. Catch you guys in the next one. Keep filming. It's the only way we'll get better. Peace.